You already know. That's the part nobody wants to say aloud. You know what to eat, how to move, what the work requires, who you need to become. And you're still not doing it. It's not an information problem, that's a belief problem. And they require totally different solutions. Welcome to Daily Power Boost. I'm Shawn Michael. This isn't a podcast about pushing harder or fixing yourself. It's a space to see clearly how your experience is actually being created. Each episode offers a simple shift in understanding, not a tactic, not a hustle, a clearer view of thought, identity, and the patterns you've been living inside. Because when misunderstanding drops, relief rises, energy returns. You move forward with calm, sovereign clarity. This is your Daily Power Boost. Welcome back to Daily Power Boost. We live in the most informed generation in human history. Courses, frameworks, coaches, content. The answer to almost any question is but 3 searches away. And yet, knowing hasn't closed the gap for most people. Because here's what the self-development world quietly gets wrong. It treats every problem like an information deficit. Learn more, do more, optimize more. The people sitting with the widest gap between knowing and doing, they don't need another framework. They need to examine what they actually believe underneath the knowing. There's a difference between intellectual knowledge and embodied belief. Intellectual knowledge lives in your head. You can recite it, teach it, defend it in a conversation. Embodied belief, that lives in your behavior. It's what you do when no one's watching, when the motivation fades, when life applies pressure. Most people are walking around with a significant gap between those two things. They know they're capable, they don't believe it yet. They know the old story isn't serving them, but their body still flinches like it's true. That flinch, that hesitation between knowing and moving, that's what I call the belief gap. And it doesn't close with more information. It closes with a different kind of work. Let me make this concrete. Think about someone who knows they should charge more for their work. Every coach tells them, the math confirms it. They've heard it 100 times. Still, when the moment comes to name a number, something tightens. The number comes out smaller than they planned. This isn't a pricing strategy problem. It's a belief problem. Underneath the knowing is a conviction, quiet and old, that the higher number isn't really theirs to ask for. Or think about someone who knows they need to have a hard conversation. They've rehearsed it. They know what to say. They've given other people this exact advice. They keep not having it. Again, not an information problem, a belief problem. Somewhere underneath the knowledge is a deeper conviction that the conversation will cost more than silence. Here's why the gap persists, even when you're doing the work. Beliefs don't get updated by logic. They're only updated by experience. You can reason your way to a new perspective, but until your nervous system has lived through evidence that the new belief is safe, the old one holds on. This is why affirmations alone rarely work. You're speaking the new belief over the top of an old one that has years of evidence behind it, and the old belief isn't impressed. It's not stubbornness or resistance. It's the mind doing exactly what it was designed to do, protect what it knows, until it has a reason to know something different. So how do you actually close the belief gap? Action taken before the belief is fully formed. Not waiting until you feel ready, not waiting until the conviction is solid. moving in the direction of the new belief while the old one is still really loud. And doing that enough times that the nervous system starts accumulating its own evidence. Every time you charge the higher rate and the world doesn't end, every time you have the hard conversation and the relationship survives, every time you show up before you feel qualified, the gap narrows. Not because you convinced yourself, because you gave yourself the proof. Here's where to start. Name one area where you know what to do, but aren't doing it. Be specific. Vague answers protect the gap. Then ask yourself, what would I have to believe about myself, other people, or the outcome for this to feel natural? Write that belief down. It's not a goal, it's a question. Is this actually true, or is it just an old belief? Then find the smallest action that moves toward the new belief. Not the whole change, just enough to start building that evidence. Because the belief gap doesn't close in a revelation. It closes in small, repeated acts of doing the thing anyway. If you've been sitting in that gap for a while, knowing what to do, not understanding why you're not doing it, that's exactly the type of conversation a clarity call is built for. We find the belief underneath the behavior, start building evidence. Links in the notes. You don't have an information problem. You have a belief that hasn't caught up to what you know yet. And the way it catches up isn't by more knowing. It comes by doing the thing while the old belief is still talking. That's the work, and it's closer than you think. Next time, you didn't choose the beliefs that are running your life, but you've been living them like you did. Where they came from matters more than most people realize. With strength and heart, I'm Shawn Michael. Stay close. Thanks for tuning in to Daily Power Boost. Ignite your potential. Remember, transformation starts with action. So take today's insight, make it your own, and awaken your inner potential. Because remember, greatness begins within. Catch you tomorrow for your next Power Boost.